If learning major modify commands in a practical manner was a dream for you, you can make your dream come true in this tutorial. Be with me. Hey there and welcome to your YouTube channel, Civil Engineering with Reza. Long time no see. First of all, I want to apologize for this time gap that I was not able to upload video on YouTube. Actually, it was due to lack of access to the internet. But now I'm happy again to see you and having a session to learn about AutoCAD software. Now, it's time to continue our mini course, the second part of our mini course on AutoCAD 2025. We will talk on this session on the modify command. As you remember from our previous session, we have talked about the draw panel. Now it's time to talk about the modify. Actually, now we know how to draw an object as a basic user, but it's time to use the modify commands for several reasons that I have mentioned earlier, to increase our speed, to make some modification on the objects, and etc. So it's time to learn these objects, but not all of them, the ones that are beneficial for a basic user, and by knowing that, you can do your works 90%. First of all, you know how to call a command. Actually, we can come here directly, and by having a left click on this, we can call our commands. Or we can type the alias of that, or the full command in command line, then by entering we have it. The first command that I want to talk about that is the move command. Before talking about the modify commands, I want to talk about a rule here. Rule number one is this. When you want to use modify commands, you have two viewpoints. The first one is that you can select the object at first, then on the next step, you can call your command. Or no, at first you call your command, it's the second viewpoint. You call the command, then you select the object that you want to do modification on that. The first one is move. And we will do our learning by doing practical examples to make our class beneficial. I think it's the best way to learn. Let's go here. The first one is move. What does move do? I can call this by left click, or as you see, it says that because at first I call the command, now asks me select the object. But if I select the object, for example, I want to move this window here. I can select this and say move. As you see, now it does not ask me to select the object because we have done it. It's time to go the steps that it asks us. In move, you need to at first select the base point, then the value of the location that you want to move in that direction. We use move to change the location of our object, and we move it completely, and there is no effect from that object in its original point. Now I select this, for example, I want to, from this point, I go in this direction. What value? 50 centimeters. As you see, it moved the object, the window, in this direction. If I want to get back, I can again, this time select this, then select on move. This time I want to use the alias of that. We use M as the alias of that. Enter, or you can type move as the full form. I select, for example, this time I use this point. There is no problem, it depends on you. I select this, and from this part, I want to go to in this direction. For example, I say 50. As you see, because my ortho mode is active, I just go in the X and Y direction. You are familiar with them and I don't want to repeat them again. If you want to know about them, you can get back to our first episode. The second one is the copy command. Actually, copy does the same work of the move with one difference. It keeps the first or the original object at its location and duplicate another object than the original one. For example, look at this column. I want to select this column. For example, I want to add a column here with a distance of 2 meters from this column. I select this, This time I come to copy. I can have a left click on that, or easily I can say CO. Be careful, C is for circle. We need to say CO for copy. Enter. Now, similar to move, I say select the base point. I select my base point. I want, for example, in this direction. I move my mouse in this direction and I say that what value? I told you 2 meters, so I say on centimeters 200. As you see, again, I can do another copies. For example, if I want to add another one here, it's for example 3 meters from this distance. I say, as you see, I show the direction and give the value. This time the direction is here and I say 3 meters. And now it's done. I use escape to go out of this command. It's the ways that we can work. As you see, I have the original object here and I have duplicate of that in these X and Y direction. It can be in any direction. Let me do it. Maybe, for example, it may be confusing for you. I select this object. I say copy. From this point, as you see, dynamic input receives the relative coordinates I have told you. So imagine that I want to add a column here. It was 2 meters in -1 direction and in X direction plus 3 meters. So I say 300 in X direction, comma, and minus 200, enter. As you see, I have another column here. It depends on the direction and the location that you want to add your object. I think it's enough about talking about the copy. Let's now go on the stretch command. And before that, let me erase this. By doing this work, let's learn another command too. I can select these objects as you see. I can use delete from the keyboard, or I can use erase from this part and they are removed. The third one is the stretch command. We use stretch to increase or decrease the length of our object. What do I mean? For example, I have this window here. I want to stretch it or increase the size of it in this direction with the value of, for example, 50 centimeters. I use stretch. I can say, for example, ST stretch as the whole. It doesn't have alias. Its alias is it's the full command. I say stretch, or I can select on this part. So be careful. In stretch, we don't select the whole object. We just select the portion of that object that we want to elongate, or it means, for example, increase the size of our object or decrease based on that location. So I want to increase from this part. I select in the cross selection mode. For example, I say that from this point, enter. This point, I want it to go in this direction with the value of 50. As you see, it changed the location. Now, imagine that I want to now make it shorter. I again do the same part. I select this, and from this point, I come to this base point. In this direction, I give the value of 100. That's done. Now let's talk about the scale command. Actually, we have access to scale from this part. In the scale command, we can use SC as its short alias, or its alias, to call it. I say enter. Now I have my scale command in active form. I need to select the object. I select the object. I want, for example, imagine that based on our design, we understood that the length that this column has here needs to be doubled. So for making it in a reformed form, I say select the object, enter. Now I come here. I need to first select the base point, the origin point, then give the scale factor. In here, I say based on this point, I want to make it bigger, as you see, with the doubling of that. So I use number 2, enter. But here there is a problem. What is that problem? The problem is that I entered to the boundary of my neighborhood. It's wrong. So I can get back with undo. I can select my object. I can say that based on a scale, the base point is here. So base point needs to be here. This time I just expand it in my own boundary. So I make it double, it's done. So I have my column in doubled form in correct manner. Let's go to another usage of a scale. Let's come to this door here. We have double opening doors in this case. I want them to have the same length. It means that at first let's dimension this part. It is 108. I want the lengths of each openings to be 54. So I draw a helping line here based on this part. I say 54, enter. So I need to scale it. This door, I select this. I select and I say that scale the base point. Instead of this, I say reference. I use the sub option of reference. So with the reference, I want to change this distance to which distance? This baseline. As you see, I at this time made it smaller based on a reference length. Now our problem is not completed because I told you we wanted to make it smaller, but we need to use similar to this with a mirror form of that on the other part. So now it's time to learn how to work with mirror. I select and delete this part. I say, okay, I want to use mirror, but for using the mirror, I need to have a mirror line. What is the meaning of that? It means that I have a mirror line. For example, I have an object here. Based on this mirror line, I have a copy of that with the same distance from this mirror line, similar to this object on the other side. So, for example, let me select the line here. So in here, because I want to make a mirror of this, in this, on the downside, I say the mirror line is this. I select the mirror command, or I can say MI, enter as its alias. I select this, enter, asks me what is your mirror line. Now I understand that the distance that your object has from mirror line from this point is 0. And from this point it has another distance. But no need to tell them one by one. Just tell me what is your mirror line. Because mirror line is a line, by specifying 2 points of that, it is familiar for AutoCAD to know what is your mirror line. I say this is the first point, this is the second point. It asks me, do you want to delete the original one? Or it means that erase the source object or not? I say no, I don't. I want to have both of them, and it's done. By deleting these cases, as you see, I have these objects in the same size with just 2 clicks. So we understood about this. Let's talk about other commands which are practical. In technical drawing, drawing the wall, as you see, these extra lines are incorrect. Maybe some basic users come here, and if they don't know how to work with modify commands, they select this, they say that, okay, I have this here, and it's easy to work when the object snap is active. It is not active, you cannot do it. For example, I select this, now you don't have object snap. For example, you say, I want to go 10 in this direction. By zooming in, it shows that it's good, but it was just a guess. Imagine that we understood that the thickness of this wall is 10, but if we don't know that, it's hard to work with that. What can we do for solving that problem? It's easy. I use the trim command. We use trim to, for example, trim the objects that meet each other. For example, I say these objects meet each other. It means that this line and this line. This part is extra. Easily by clicking on trim or saying TR, enter, I can come here, just left click. That's it. It's done. So we use trim to, trim the extra edges that they have uh, concentrated with each other. Now let's come to this part. Again, in here we have that problem because these three lines they don't from the technical drawing viewpoint they shouldn't be here. So I can easily say, for example, this time I use this line and this part. As you see, it's done. The opposite of trim is extend. At the sub option of here, we have extend. As you see, I don't have intersection from this line to this line. It's wrong. Imagine that when object snap is not active, I don't know where is its exact location. So I cannot do it. But easily, let me turn it on. By using the extend, I can say that. Based on extend, come to this part, click on that. That's it. So we use extend to extend our incomplete line based on the in front of the object that it has. It extends that line. Let's talk about the fillet. Actually, we use fillet to make the intersection of two sharp edges in the form of a corner form with having a radius. So I select this fillet and I need to give the radius. I can type R or select on this sub option. I say R. Now the radius that I want to give here is 40. In this part, I want to make fillet to these edges, sharp edges. I select the first object, the second object. Again, I enter, I recall my command. This time, I do the same for this part. Because I gave the radius previously, easily I can say this is the first line, this is the second line. That's it. And the next thing that I want to talk about that is talking about array. Imagine that I want to use a table here for serving the dinner or other things. And consider these as the chairs. So in here, I want to add, for example, 8 chairs. If I want, for example, do it one by one with copy, I need to say, for example, and turn off the ortho mode, add this one by one. We have another problems. The locations are not exact. So it's not practical to use that, but we can do it with just one click. I use array, but in array, use the polar array. In polar array, I select the object that I want to make it in array for, enter. I select the origin. It is the center point of that. Just give me the number. I say 8, enter. That's done. Let's finish our tutorial by learning the two important left commands. One is rotate, the other is offset. What does at first an offset does? I want to give detail. I want to this window. I want to, for example, give the thickness of this window. I can use offset. Asks me what is the offset distance. I say that, for example, the thickness of the window is 5. So I give 2.5 in one direction. I select this line. I want to offset it in this direction. I select the direction of that, enter, and 1 in this direction. After doing this, I can say that I have my window with more detail. So we use offset to repeat the object or the line with a distance from the original one. Now, the last item is the rotate. Imagine that you have a table here. Let me draw a rectangle. You have a table here. You want to rotate it. You can select the rotate or you can say RO, enter. You can select the object, enter. Based on your base point, it depends on your aim. For example, if you want to rotate from this corner, it gives one answer. If you want to the other thing, it gives another answer. Let's show you. I select this and I want, let me, for example, turn off the ortho mode. With this value, based on the counterclockwise, it's positive of that, I can give these values. For example, 75, enter. it rotates based on this point. But let me undo. This time I say that I want to rotate based on its origin. It means at the geometric center. I select on the rotate. Let me turn on the geometric center from here. I say that now, based on the geometric center, turn 90 degrees. So I say 90, or let's say 45 degrees, and it rotates it. That's it, and I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you enjoyed, please push that thumb up and be part of our community by subscribing to our channel. I tried to cover the main basics, the drawing, the modify, and the last session that we will have as the last session of our mini course is covering the dimensioning. If you know how to draw, how to modify, and how to dimension, you can say that as a basic user, I know how to work with AutoCAD. Thanks for watching, best wishes, take care, and goodbye.